Alright, welcome to Brew Day. I'm going to walk you through a small homebrew operation, all grain batch. And this is just going to give you show you little bits of it, see what's going on. So we're boiling up water now, we're just kind of getting set up. We are milling the grains. So these are the grains we talked about in the lecture. Kind of like coffee, we're milling them up so we can get the sugars out. So this drill grinds them up and we'll put them into the mash tun here when we're ready. So we'll see that in a minute. We're using the Beersmith software like we looked at in class. We've dialed in our recipe here, trade secrets. So we designed this recipe. Let's see what who knows? We'll see what it tastes like when we're done. So we've got regular grains, barley, and the oats. White oats, the rounder ones. Supposedly gives you a good mouthfeel. So we've got temperature probes in the crushed grain here. Right, kind of looks like oatmeal. The probe is in there, keeping track of how hot that's getting. We're also keeping track of the boil water and how hot that's going to get. All right, we've heated up our water to 164 degrees, which is what the Beersmith tells us to do. And now we're going to pump that water into the mash tun. All right. 165 pumping 165 degree water into the mash tun. You just try to wet it all down.
59.2.
Yeah. We have a temperature probe on the grains.
Get ready to start stirring.
Mix it. Got to make sure there's no dough balls in there.
Oh, and it smells just like grape nuts.
Yeah. So we'll pump about 15 gallons of water in there and then let it sit for an hour. All right, it's an hour later. Temperature is maintained 152 degrees. Now we're going to boil loft it, run off some of the wort. It's a little cloudy there. I'm going to dump it back in on the edges, and it sets the channel in the bed of all those grains, so it runs out of the mash tun nice and clear. Usually do this like 2 or 3 times until it runs out clear.
You don't need to stir. Nope. Not yet. It's running pretty clean. We're going to have to... We might need more than this pot.
Yep.
No, I was just saying, what are we doing with that? Ready, Brian? Yeah. We're just going to eventually need to pick up that pump because I can't reach all the way. It's okay, you don't have to reach all the way. Because you're going to... Grains have lost their sugar.
So this is the wort we pulled out of the mash. It's going to go into the boil pot soon. We're sparging now, adding 168 degree water. About 10 gallons, I think, and rinse it off again. This will get all the sugars out of there that we want. And all that will go in the boil pot, and we'll start boiling next. We bought, these are the hops over here, the Mosaic and Citra, Simcoe. We're using cryo hops this time for fun. See how those work out. And these are the yeast packets. I'm going to get those warmed up soon, but put those in, one for each keg when we're done. Liquid yeast. And here's my cheat sheet, my reminders. All right, so we took a reading of the original gravity right now with this device. Put a little wort on the, here we go. Where is it? Drop it right in there on a pipette. Look in, read the number. We've seemed to have hit our target of 1.067. So that's good. So we're warming up the water now for the boil. Doing a little cleaning over here to get the kegs ready. We're going to need those in an hour or so, a couple hours. So a lot of cleaning going on. Typical of a brew day. We now have the spent grains here. Right, bunch of oatmeal. If you tasted it, it's very bland now. Tastes like cardboard. And we'll get rid of those. So the mashing is done. We are on to the boil. All right, the boil is rolling. We've started our 60-minute timer. We are just stirring the top, get the proteins out so it doesn't boil over. We have some oats in this, and some wheat, which makes things a little thicker, and the potential for boil over is larger. So we are just watching that. But now we're just going to boil for 60 minutes. That's about it. Just keep our eye on it, and then we're going to add our Simcoe hops at flame out, and we'll check back in then. Almost at the end of the boil. We've set up our pump and our plate chiller there in the middle, and it's going to allow us to whirlpool the wort, and we will put in the hop spider there. We're going to put some hops in our bag. So we're going to recirculate the water through the boil kettle for a half an hour. Help get those hops in there. All right, pulling the hop bag out.
Is there a reason we'll put the gloves on and squeeze it out? You can.
So we're chilling it down now. At this point, beer can get infected, so we make sure we sanitize everything. And then we'll get it into the kegs and add some yeast. All right, now we've chilled down the wort. We are pumping it out of the boil kettle into the kegs. They're going to ferment in these kegs. So we're adding 5 gallons into each keg. All right, so we have cooled down the wort, and now we are ready to pitch the yeast and get that going. So I've got the 3 kegs here. I've got my fermenter set at 65 degrees, my temperature probe, and that sits in the middle and lets me know the temperature, keeps everything nice. Yeast likes a nice consistent temperature, so that's what we're going to do here. Using sanitizer, spraying everything down to avoid infections. Spraying my hands, spraying the kegs. Got my bags of yeast here, and I'm going to put them in there. So I'm going to pop these. Don't need that anymore. And sanitize the, dump that right in sanitizer. And it's just liquid yeast. We're gonna pour it right in here. I'm gonna use one of these caps with the holes in it. Sanitize it. So I'm gonna put my temperature probe in there, make sure that's nice and sanitized. It wants to be there. These hoses with the blow-off tubes. So as the kegs, the yeast works and it chews on the sugar and ferments, the off gases will come out of these stoppers here. There, fill that up with sanitizer, so that way air can't get back in, but it can come out. So we're going to do that again. I'll do that for the next two. Don't need to show that again. It's the same process. So that is it. Hopefully I'll come down here tomorrow and there'll be bubbling and the yeast will come out, will do its work and start to convert the sugars into alcohol, and we'll have actual beer. So that should work for 1 to 2 weeks. It'll do its thing. We'll dry hop and we'll be back for that. So, but that's how we pitch the yeast. Great. All right, the beer has been in the fermenter for let's see, 3 days now. It's 67 degrees. That's upside down. So we're controlling that temperature in our specially designed fermenter, keezer, whatever you want to call it. And it is been fermenting for the past, 24 hours or so. Got the 3 kegs here, they're bubbling away. So that means the yeast is doing its job, chewing on the sugars, creating alcohol. It should do this for usually about 5 days. So, 3-4 more days of this, and then we'll dry hop after that. Okay, so the fermentation is done. The bubbles have stopped. It's been about a week or so, maybe 10 days, and so all that, that fermentation has been going on. What I've been doing in the meantime on a set schedule is dry hopping the hops, dry hopping the wort, I guess. So at like 3 days and 8 days, I would take some dry hops, right? Some hops in pellet form. Here's some Citra pellet hops. Let's see what they look like. Kind of look like rabbit pellets. Smell real good. Measure them out. Dump a certain amount in these 1 gallon paint strainers I got at Home Depot, and you just pour in the right amount, how many ounces you need. Tie that bag up, sanitize it, spray it down, and then drop it into the fermenter and let it sit there for a certain amount of time, usually about 3 to 5 days, depending on what the recipe calls for. And then you pull them out and you would add more. We did 3 different dry hops in this batch, and now next we're just going to let it sit for a week or so just to kind of settle out, let some of that junk that fermentation causes, and then we will transfer the kegs, which and just take the beer and pump it into a clean keg, a serving keg we call it, and then with that we will then chill that down and carbonate it, and I'll show you that in the keezer next. Usually about 5 days or so, you add CO2 on there and it gives you the bubbles and the carbonation and what you want. And then I've installed this tap here on mine, so I can just put the beer through there, and that's it. It is ready to go, ready to be enjoyed. So that has been the process. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll show you what the beer looks like next. Alright, here we go. We have chilled down the beer, we've carbonated it, it is ready to go, and we're going to finally give it a try here. A little undercarbonated, but that's alright. Just the pressure. So, got a pretty good head there. Put it in this clear glass so I could get a good sense of the color. Bring this over here. Hold it up to the light. You can see that. A little thickness to it. Probably due to the oats. Typical IPA. So I don't know. So we'll do the normal tasting. Right, we're going to wave it by our nose. See if I can pick up any of the hops. I can. Nothing hitting me in the face, but you know, pretty good. Stick my nose in there. Definitely smelling them now. Take a little sip. Coat the tongue. Very good, very good. All right, that is it. Thanks for watching. A very good triple dry hopped IPA. I don't know. Thanks for watching.